Hey guys, if you're watching this video, please go watch part one. This is Daniel, Berman, and Chris. We're going to continue right where we left off. So we ended with Wonder Woman 84, and it seemed like all hope was gone for this universe to basically recollect itself. But in 2020, the pandemic did happen, and thanks to the pandemic, we got the Justice League Snyder cut. This was a miracle, to say the least. Zack Snyder had a 4-hour film in mind, and on paper, around the time BVS came out, I thought that would have been horrible. But I gotta be honest, I was wrong, and I'm very glad to be. Because for 4 hours, this film doesn't really get boring in many moments at all. And it's just amazing. Cyborg in this movie is amazing. The Flash in this film shits all over the Justice League version. Because the Justice League version is just a comedic goof who really is useless and saves only 5 people. But in this film, he's still funny, but he's actually got power and he saves the entire world. And the whole mission's practically more on him than it is on Superman. But that's the thing, though. Everyone got their shine. Superman looks strong and shit, and he got the most hits in on, Steppenwolf. You got Batman, who kind of was like the lead guy, and assembling the mission together, and it made him feel like Batman compared to BVS. You got Wonder Woman basically being the badass she was in her own film. That's great. Aquaman has a purpose in this film, and that's pretty cool. All the locations utilized in this film is really cool. You also get references to other heroes like Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter. That shit's really awesome. And like I said, everyone kind of has like a purpose in this film and a reason to be here. And the other version, the only one that needed to be there was Superman. And that's why I hated it. This is a real Justice League film. And I just gotta say, it looked great. The whole film just looked great, even though it couldn't look as good as it probably wanted to. And because of it not being the theater release, it looks amazing. So, yeah, I will say again, 4 hours is a long time, and it's not entirely structured like a film. And I will say the inclusion of Darkseid in this film was fantastic as well. But, yeah, I guess I'm just trying to get the issues out while I have it, because this film isn't perfect, but for what it could have set up in the future, it would have just been amazing to see play out. And I guess the monologue, or the epilogue, I guess you could say, where it kind of teased like the future events of what could have happened, like Lois Lane dying, Superman going mad, Batman dying. A lot of crazy shit looked like was going to happen in this universe. And it's a shame none of it is ever going to happen, more likely. So overall, I'm giving this film a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, this movie was great. It was way more fun than when I was expecting, but it was just so much fun to watch. It was not disappointing. There's only one tiny gripe I have about it, is that they took some of the comedic aspects that I kind of liked from the first movie and they took it out. But I'm like, it's kind of makes sense because the Snyder cut is more serious, it's supposed to be, but I kind of like the comedy that they had in there. But I think it's still fine, even if I think it was still fun as hell to watch. I love that they showed Martian Manhunter, because Martian Manhunter was a cool character. I loved how they made him look. Darkseid looks freaking like a beast. Is like Darkseid's what's it called? Right hand man. I don't know what's that guy's name. The weird sorcerer wizard guy. He was fun. He was interesting. He was an interesting type of character. Steppenwolf looked more like a freaking monster than anything else, with a weird hand, a bigger posture, and everything. So I definitely did love this movie. And there's that. The only time I gripe was the taken out of the small comedy bits that was very fun about the movie. But still, I think the movie was perfectly fine. I think the extra credit scene where Martian Manhunter came down and told him about this stuff, and older at the end of the movie, that they showed kind of the future. They showed the future where like Batman, Flash, the wife of Aquaman, Deathstroke, and Joker, which one of my favorite things to see was was that Joker from Jared Leto's Joker there with long hair. So that was really cool, and I think that was a really interesting showing that that could be the future that could be happening. And I think it just shows how much could be in the future for maybe Justice League Apocalypse, and that's why I feel like that's going to be the name of the next Justice League. Definitely, I gotta give this a 9.5.
And yeah, I'm with you too because unlike the first previous film, The Justice League, it was very messy, and like I said, the first half was excellent. This is also too a very good movie just for the fact there's so much storytelling and in characterizations of like Batman, Superman, and everyone had the place. And in many of the complaints that we had with Wonder Woman were really a necessary issue with this film because she was kind of more fleshed out how we kind of saw her in the first movie. It's great, but again, I can see why it's a little too long, like for 4 hours. There could be some dialogues, things cut here and there, but I felt it was absolutely necessary. Like if you can't sit through one sitting of this film, at least just take your time to kind of like enjoy it for what the film is. It's very good. Unfortunately, we'll talk about later in the video what happens in the current times, but it's good. We'll give it an 8.
All right. Now, the Suicide Squad. Now, I did not like the first film at all because I feel like, the Suicide Squad are kind of meant to be a bunch of misfits that, are kind of underdogs at the same time. At least that's how I view the Suicide Squad, and the first film didn't really have that at all. The second film does that quite well. Now, to get the negatives out of the way, Boomerang getting killed off early was kind of disappointing, but it was also to kind of show that, the Suicide Squad is moving on from its past and all that, and I think that's perfectly fine. It also killed off Rick Flag, which was another character attached to the first film, and I think he's way better in this film than the first film. He's kind of forgettable in the first film, and in this film, Rick Flag definitely feels, like there's more of a reason for him to be there. You also got characters like Peacemaker in this film, who, is just hilarious. John Cena as Peacemaker is definitely, brought out the best of John Cena, and I'll explain more of that as we move forward with our, review of all of this. Pete Davidson being the Blackguard just to get immediately killed off was pretty funny. Elba as Bloodsport was great, and he had a really great story with his daughter, kind of like telling the story with Deadshot in the first film, but it did a lot better with telling that story. You got Ratcatcher too, who became a pretty likable character for many people, and rightfully so. She was a great character. Amanda Waller is far more intense in this film than she is in the first film, and now I feel like we're seeing, the real Amanda Waller being brought up. Hardcore, who she gets more of a role in Peacemaker, but that's actually James Gunn's wife, and she's actually a really damn good actress. But now, we also got Sylvester Stallone as King Shark, kind of like how he made Vin Diesel Groot, which is, in my opinion, really funny. But King Shark is just a fantastic character, if I am being perfectly honest here. And I just also gotta say, it's the interesting thing is, I think it's a fun fact that this film was filmed on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is really funny, in my personal opinion. So that's why there's like Dave Bautista, Chris Pratt, and all that listed on Google under the cast. Again, I think that's pretty funny. Yeah, Harley Quinn is great in this film as well. I will say there is like a 10-minute sequence of, her getting married with this dude and ultimately killing him, and I could have done without that, to be honest, but it wasn't the worst thing ever. It was just fine. Polka Dot Man was great. Weasel is one of the best live-action characters of all time, and you can argue with the wall if you disagree. That is definitely all I have to tell you. Just don't even talk about movies ever if you think Weasel is a bad character. Weasel is a fucking icon, alright? We need Weasel versus Superman, and I'll do better than Batman versus Superman. I guarantee that, people. More fucking box office, alright? Or even Weasel versus Joker. You could have Weasel versus Phoenix, Weasel could be like, climbing a fucking building. You have Joker eat the fuck out the building, stab the fuck out the Weasel. I think that shit would be a banger. So, overall, I just have to say, I think this is a really good, funny film. It's the definition of a B film for superheroes. It's really funny. The scene where Bloodsport and Peacemaker are just killing a bunch of innocent soldiers to, kind of one up each other was really fucking funny, and that's probably my favorite scene in the whole film. The final battle is kind of dumb, but it's really fun as well. And Bloodsport having this fear of rats was kind of funny, but also kind of wholesome towards the end, where he finally starts to allow a rat to sleep on his leg. It's just, I think it's a really good film. I can't hate it too much. Is it the best DC project? No, but I think it's really fun. Overall, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, and for me, I really disliked the movie. There's really two things. One, the story was just, they didn't tell a story. It was very random. It was very more comedic aspect. I think the first Suicide Squad had a little bit more of a story to it to me. And the biggest gripe for me is the two people that got killed. That is Captain Boomerang and Colonel Rick Flag. Those two I loved in the first movie, and it pissed me off. Really pissed me off. As soon as I saw them get killed, I got pissed off because I didn't like them getting killed. Because those two characters were from the first movie, and I didn't love them. So it pissed me off that they killed them. So don't get me wrong, there was a fun. I think the only part to me that I really did like was that force scene where uh, Peacemaker and Kill Sport were competing against each other. That was fun. I did love that. But everything else, I just didn't like. It was not something. I just got pissed off the whole entire movie when I was watching it because of that two people dying. So I didn't. Don't get me wrong, like Peacemaker, I love John Cena, but like, I just felt the whole entire movie because I don't like those two people getting killed. So I gotta give this to me a 4.5.
Just to add on to that, how much of a holy shit. All right, that was weird. Just to mention how much of a fucking shit post this film is. The inspiration behind Polka Dot Man, Chris?
No.
James Gunn literally looked up what is the worst DC villain of all time, and Polka Dot Man was the first thing that pulled up, and he was like, all right, perfect. And that's why he actually used Polka Dot Man for this film.
That's beautiful, man. But I've actually enjoyed my time with the film, and besides Weasel, Polka Dot was pretty hilarious too, seeing that his whole motivation it was kind of sad seeing that his mom abused him as a kid, and he's like, you know what, I gotta kill my mom throughout the whole movie. But it was just a dumb show. It was fun from start to finish. I'm just gonna give it 8. Made all the good points, Daniel. Nothing much I can add.
All right, now we move on to Peacemaker, which was an HBO Max original series, 8 episodes. And I just gotta say, this is the best thing John Cena has ever done in terms of acting. And this is, in my opinion, one of the best superhero shows I've ever seen. I think it's just so fucking fantastic in every regard. This is one of the shows that's not actually afraid to, touch on controversial topics such as racism. And, when I say it dives into that topic, I mean really dives into that topic where the main villain is a literal, leader of the KKK almost. It's actually some crazy ass shit. And on top of that, this is also Peacemaker's father. So Peacemaker is just trying to be a good man, the man he wants to be, but he can't do that when his father is, a murderer, a white supremacist, all these horrible things. And, it's just a genuinely fantastic story. And then you got his sidekick, Vigilante, which I have a extremely hot take. I think Vigilante is more funny than is funnier than Deadpool. Yes, I fucking said that, people.
You're not
and
wrong.
I'm not taking that back.
You're not wrong, Daniel. You're not capping.
So yeah, Vigilante is just one of my favorite live action characters I've probably ever seen from a superhero show. He's just so goddamn funny and so goddamn rootable despite how much of a fucking psychopath he is. You also got Eagly, who is like an animal sidekick for Peacemaker. And I didn't think I would actually give a shit about the eagle, but they actually get you emotionally attached to the eagle, and it's not just a comedic joke. And, that's just a great thing. You have that beautiful side story with, Peacemaker and, Waller's Dollar not really believing that Cena's that close to, the eagle, but he is. And it's a beautiful story. I mean, And then you got his little side story love interest with, Hardcore, and that's really cool, kind of breaking her cold shell quite a bit. You just have not Cena. I keep calling him Cena, but he's Peacemaker. You just have Peacemaker make all these relationships with everyone on the team, and every relationship feels unique and different from each and every one that he has. And I think that's just special. And, you have moments here and there that actually are, really beautiful in terms of collecting that emotional value, especially in the last two episodes. The seventh episode where Peacemaker has to finally kill his father is easily my favorite episode of the show, and it might be my favorite thing in the DCEU overall. That's a fantastic piece of content. So overall, I'm going to give this series a 9.5 out of 10. It's near perfect. The only issues I guess I could say are some of the jokes don't hit here and there, but that's literally the only issues I could possibly have for this show. It's near perfect.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that much because you took a lot of this stuff, but I did love this movie. This was very fun. I did love that Peacemaker really wanted a lot of approval from his dad, but eventually just killed him. It was very kind of fun. I really kind of liked it. I love the villains were like tiny butterflies. Alien butterflies were very cool. I think they did a good job on making a villain like that. The story was pretty funny. I loved every single character. I think my favorite character actually to me was the fat guy. I forgot his guy's name, but I really did love that the fat guy was very funny.
I think he was just John.
John. I just loved him because he was very funny. And he was just not. It was always getting. I don't know. Remember his nickname he had, but he was very funny. I always loved that he just kept on saying his nickname. I think it's like Beard something, but it was very funny.
Yeah, it was Neckbeard or Weirdbeard. It was one of the two.
Yeah, so I was very fun. I think they did a great job on him. Way better than Suicide Squad, 100%. And I did love it. So I gotta give this a 9.5 for me.
And to mention, Mern was just a fantastic side character. We didn't talk too much about that, but also wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and then like you said, dude, every other character in the show was pretty fire. Like I didn't have any complaints, and you two make good points. But I know the next movie I'm gonna be the black sheep, so I'm gonna give it a 9 because I'm ready for the next.
Now, when it comes to the year 2022, there's a word: cinema. What film is cinema? That film is the Batman. This is near perfection. And it is, in my opinion, the best DC film since The Dark Knight. I'm not saying it's better than The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's still the best. The Dark Knight is still the very best. But I think the Batman is the best since then. Robert Pattinson is, obviously in his beginning years as, being the Batman, and, he's using the Batman to mask the Bruce Wayne side of him. And it's in this film he learns what it means to become the Batman. And the Riddler may be a controversial villain, but I fucking love the Riddler. And I'd say outside of Heath Ledger's Joker, he is my personal favorite villain in a Batman film. He's just fucking awesome. And he actually succeeds in what he's trying to talk about. He actually wins in the end. And that's the crazy thing. So, yeah, you also have just so much going on. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman is easily the most iconic performance the woman has put on in her career. You also have great side characters as well, like Penguin. And it's just a lot of universe building, but it's really cool and great universe building. And everything about this film is intriguing. And despite the Batman barely speaking, every single thing he says and does, you can tell what he's thinking, because that's how good the acting is in this film. You're able to read the mind of the Batman because of, how he's able to portray the emotions that he's thinking and feeling. So, yeah, I can't really say too much. I will say there are a few dialogue lines I think that could have been changed up here and there, but outside of that, it's pretty much flawless. So it just looks beautiful, and they took years on making this film, and it makes sense why. The hallway scene where there are guns shooting at Batman and he's just walking in slow motion and just fucks both of them up is easily one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen in a Batman film. There's just so much to praise about this film for me. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. My personal favorite project out of the bunch we're talking about here.
Yeah, for me, this was actually very fun. I did love it. I watched it with my family. This was a great. I was kind of debating because of I don't know about Patterson, but as soon as I watched it, I'm like, geez, man, he did a good job as, and I feel like his voice was not too. It was not that as low as you wanted for Batman, but I think it makes sense because of this whole. He's starting out, maybe. So I think I really loved it, even if the fight scenes were brutal, very, very dark, very, very like you see like Batman like looks more like he wants to kill people than knock out people. So it's like really brutal. But I think the Riddler was just a crazy lunatic. Was brutal. He kind of looked more like a saw, like a jigsaw. But I think it was perfect, even though he really succeeded, which is interesting. So I think he did a great job. The end part when he was in a stadium, the stadium fight scene was a great. I think that was probably one of my favorites too. He was in a big stadium fight scene, just killing people. Not killing people, but knocking people out, throw them off somewhere. I think it was great trying to figure out who is the Riddler or who is his own father. He didn't know who was his father. Like I did love Alfred. It was interesting. Alfred is not even like he was not that old this movie, but he was. I think he was a great actor for him. So I think he did a great job. So and even the end scene where he was helping people into hot helicopters, I think that's an A plus for me. So I did love it. So definitely, I'm gonna give this a 9.5 for me.
Another thing I gotta mention before Chris has this black sheep rant is that I you know how in a lot of films Gotham has like all these crazy villains and it should look like shit, right? But if we're actually looking at all these films, Gotham doesn't even look that bad. But in this film, Gotham looks like a shithole, and I am so glad it does because it actually is sticking true to the character of the setting and giving the setting that much personality is what really makes this film stand out for me as well. You could have probably taken out that Joker scene towards the end, but I don't mind it, and I'm willing to give that guy a chance as the new Joker or whatever he's going to be. So, yeah, I can't complain too much again. 9.5, like me and Berman said. Now time for Chris.
I'm gonna say it, guys. Everyone's praising this movie online. It's like it's better than The Dark Knight. It's one of the best performances of all time. Like, no, this movie is
We ain't say
so.
it compared to The Dark Knight.
This you pretty much compared it to it, and you could tell me if the straight face of the Riddler was cringe. Nothing he
No,
does, I didn't take seriously from the moment he
no, he
talked.
wasn't.
He was such a cringe lord. Like he straight up came from the R incel board. Like nothing he said was scary in the slightest. It was a joke. Half the time of his dialogue speaking, "I'm gonna change Gotham." I was just laughing my ass off because this is just the kind of shit I would see on a random YouTube page. And then for the fact that this is a good Batman, no, this is not a good Batman. This is a generic ass Batman, and Ben Affleck does a better job, and he's okay at
Oh,
best.
shit.
Not
Ben
even.
Affleck did.
Robert Pattinson is such a whiny Batman. He doesn't do anything but just
How
moans and
when does
complain.
he whine? When
Like
does
all
he
the
whine?
time, his whole character is just like, I have to bring vengeance and justice, and he's a dick to Alfred for like no reason whatsoever.
I think you're reading the film wrong, but all right.
No, I'm not reading the film wrong. I saw that piece of crap and everyone's like, it's the best thing ever. It's so good. Everything that wasn't Batman was good about this film, however. The weakest
You
part
know,
about the
you
Batman
know
was the
what?
Batman
You know
himself.
what? You can't make fun of You can't make fun of Berman for disliking Batman versus Superman if you're going to crap on this film.
No, I'm not. Because you have a hot take. You can't. The only good things about this film was just Selena. That's the only great part about this. The Selena and the Penguin story. That's it. I couldn't care less about the Riddler. I couldn't take him seriously. There are some cool fight scenes here and there, and the soundtrack was pretty cool as well. But overall, if it's just focusing on these two, this is so bad. This is unwatchable. This is boring. And people are there. People like you say that this is one of the greatest Batman films of all time, or up there. Is insane. You can't
No, it's
tell me
not.
that. It's
It is absolutely.
insane.
You're insane for even debating the fact that it's not.
It is, dude. This movie is so mediocre. It's a 5 at best.
Mediocre.
It's
Literally,
bad.
it's literally the second best Batman film ever made.
No, it's not. It's like one of the worst
100%.
things. You can't tell me
100%.
there's no way. Like literally everything that is in Batman is good about
What
this
what
film.
film besides The Dark Knight is better than this Batman film?
Batman and Robin.
Bull
with George
fucking
Clooney.
shit.
Because at
Bull
least that was
fucking shit.
entertaining, and I actually kind of cared about it.
No,
Yes.
shut your mouth.
Yes.
The Mr. Freeze in that film is offensively terrible. The chemistry between Batman and Robin makes no sense. George Clooney is not a good Batman.
Yes, he is.
Like, no.
Yes,
Get
he is.
no.
But
You know
going,
what? I'm done taking you seriously
I'm
with
not
this
done.
review
No,
because
I'm
you
being
just
dead
said
serious.
Batman and Robin is no. There's no way. There's
Because
no
that
way.
movie actually brings something to the table. It goes back to its roots with the
Berman,
comic book in the
Berman.
90s. No, you can agree with me with
Can
this
you
one.
no, actually? Can you agree with me? Is Batman
No.
and Robin is not better than the Batman? There is no logical way any human being on this planet with a brain can think that.
It's true enough, but to me, I did like the Batman Forever more myself. To me, I did like Batman Forever because I did like that one. But to me, I do love this Batman with Patterson because I think he's just so much darker than any Batman that we have seen, and I think that's why I like it so much. So, I think this Batman is a lot better than the Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
But before we move on, I will praise the film just for the fact that they go into depth of what Bruce's parents were really like being corrupted. Like they don't show them as good people; they're terrible. So I'll give the film that. There were some good things I like about it, but as Batman and the Riddler, they cringe, and I hate both of them. It should have just been about Selena, and it would have been a better film anyways.
You know what?
I'm done.
Anything else he says in this review means absolutely nothing, people.
If you
So-
can't watch Batman vs. Robin and not say it's a good film, then maybe you're the problem with society. Because that movie's awesome.
You hear that dead
Society.
reaction? You hear that dead reaction you just got? It's because that film is ass.
You just don't understand.
So, anyways, you just don't understand because you're not a Batman, Chris.
You just don't understand because you're not keto and based.
You just don't understand because you're not the frozen icicle pop like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Batman and Robin. Now, let's move on to the last film we're talking about today, Black Adam, The Rock's film. I thought it was fun, pretty good. I don't know how it's going to age. It might age for the worse, but as for right now, I'm really enjoying it. I'm not going to dive too deep into it because this film isn't, too different, but I will say at times it's more violent than I expected. And, that's something I really like. And, The Rock, for once, isn't playing himself for the first time in like a while. So I'm thankful for that. Dr. Fate was my favorite character, but seeing him get killed off was easily the most disappointing thing about this film. And I feel like some of the other side characters could have gotten more time or could have been utilized better. And then having Hawkman just antagonize Black Adam so much. I mean, we get why. It makes sense, but it just gets kind of annoying after a while, to be quite honest about it. But it is a really good film. I can't shit on it too much. And the cameo by Superman in the end, it means nothing now, but at the time, it was really fun. Overall, I'm giving this film a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, for me, actually, I think this to me was one of my, it was a really great movie. I did love how the Rock did the really great job portraying Black Adam. I don't think anyone else can do a good Black Adam than The Rock. And I think all the other superheroes, what's it called, Atom Smasher, Cyclone, Fate, Hawkman were great. I think maybe Hawkman to me was my favorite just because I kind of like how he was just antagonizing him the whole time to me. I just like that to me, and I think they did a good job. The villain was pretty cool. It was some dude who wanted a crown. It was really like a demon, pretty much, and I think they did a great job on that. I kind of like that. The first part of the movie, he didn't look that much as Black Adam, but then the other half of the movie, he changed and he got his cape. He got a more gold colored look. So I think this is a great movie to watch. Yeah, it kind of sucks what happened at the extra credit scene, but hell, it's even though I feel like this movie is great, I think it's more fun. And I just love that. I think I love the fight scenes. Each fight scene that they had was great. It was funny. I think it had a lot of fun aspects for Black Adam. So I actually give this an 8 for me.
Yep, I'll say it's better than the Aquaman movie for sure. Like there was a lot of more. It's the same kind of movie. It's more action packed, but I enjoyed my time with it. It was overall decent. And you're right on one thing, Daniel. It's just the Hawk guy or whatever his name was. It was really annoying. He's like, you shouldn't kill people. I'm like, dude, he's literally been doing it for the entirety of the film, and I don't see the problem of heroes killing villains anyways, because it solves the damn problem. Unlike Batman, who just puts them in prison and nothing gets resolved because they're just gonna escape anyways. But like, but like we said at the end too, like unfortunately they do reveal Superman, but then again, James Gunn ended up taking over the entirety of DC, so everything from here on out doesn't mean anything until in his own universe. So that kind of sucks. All the build up, the years of filmmaking, and Henry Cavill not coming back to Superman. And he even dropped that Witcher role too, Berman, which is really fucked up. Just for him to be like, "Oh, never mind, we don't need you anymore." And The Rock fighting for this movie too. It's sad, but if James Gunn moves forward with it, I'll respect it. Let's see what he has to bring.
Yeah, The Rock is actually pretty pissed about all this too. He may not return as Black Adam.
Oh,
Well, that's sad. That's sad because who can do Black Adam justice? That's a big thing. I don't think anyone can really do Black Adam justice.
yeah.
Well, Berman, what do you think about the whole restart or reset button that we're probably about to get with DC with James Gunn? Do you have faith in him, or do you think it's all going to be shit?
I have faith in him when he did the what's it called that movie, the zombie movie. So I did love that movie. So I'm hoping that maybe he brings it back and he does something. I'm hoping that he finds people that look to part. I'm hoping they don't find people that don't make sense for that role. I'm just hoping that they do it right and it makes sense. That's the only thing I'm hopeful for.
Yeah.
Chris, any last thoughts on this controversy?
Not really. I mean, like I said, it kind of sucks for the actors and Henry Cavill in particular for him just dropping so many roles just to be turned down and be like, "No, you're not Superman anymore."
Yeah, agreed.
So that's stupid.
It is stupid. It's pretty much a shame. But good luck to DC. Hopefully, all works out. Peacemaker season 2 on the way. We'll review that for sure. And we'll review other future DC and Marvel projects as well as other films. So next month, in the month of February, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then we're also going to be talking about a film called Cocaine Bear, which I'm very excited for to talk about on this channel. It's going to be a great video for you all. So thank you all so much for watching this 2-part DCEU review. We've covered all 15 projects, including Batman and Joker, which technically isn't a part of the universe, but we'd still cover those anyways. And yeah, I've been Daniel.
I've been Berman.
Hey, Chris.
And it's been a mixed bag, but overall, it's been a fun time talking about these movies and that one show. So see you all in the next one. Take it easy. Please subscribe.